Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at ServiceNow. It is time for another update, and on this chart we are just starting to see some interesting movements, and on the large time frame we have had this idea of a potential substantial top within a wave 1 to the upside. Perfectly valid interpretation. It would imply that we would head into the area of support for the wave 2 at the levels between $52.6 down to $10.6, against which we are looking with high probabilities for continuation within at least another 5 move to the upside. Yeah, that would be our minimum expectation for this pattern, where something potentially much more bullish could be unfolding, where yeah, this could turn into an even larger impulse very easily. Now, we are still very far away from this area of support, but it still remains a very tempting proposition if we are to reach those levels. Yeah, to look for positions within that area would be typically recommended based on the pattern that has unfolded on this chart, based on the time frame it has unfolded within, and yeah, all of this points to this being a high probability structure, not in terms of being a high probability to reach the area of support, but in terms of, in the event that we do reach it, that we do get into this area, that we would be looking for a great risk-reward ratio opportunity, where we know that below the 78.6% retracement, this structure would very likely turn into something much more bearish, potentially leading to new all-time lows, and it would allow us to look for a potential stop loss to be placed within this zone, yeah, below this area somewhere, potentially even below this swing low that we had at around the $9 point something level. But against this area, we are still looking with high probabilities for a wave 3 to be taking place. Now, I've been rambling a bit about this structure, about this idea. I wanted to also outline a bit of our thinking in terms of high quality structures. Yeah, we are looking for accumulation within them. Now, in the white interpretation, we are looking for a potential extension in a more direct fashion, where this area of support in blue would not need to be reached. And within this white structure, we are tracking one of the ideas, but it is a couple of interpretations that could take place. So up until the wave 4, we have the same pattern as in the blue structure. But from this point on, instead of considering that a wave 5 top would be in place, we would be looking for this to have been only a wave 1 part of a larger wave 5 to the upside. So this would imply a wave 2 correction to be here, a wave 3 to follow, a wave 4, and another wave 5 to complete the pattern. Yeah, that is the expectation that we are working within in this white structure. Does it need to be a wave 5 in this area? No, it doesn't, and we could be looking at this to transform instead into a wave 1 to the upside. Yeah, we would have here basically a triple 1 2 1 2 1 2 setup that could be working, and potentially something extremely bullish could be taking place. But this is not a high probability structure necessarily, simply because we have the alternative of a blue interpretation that has a full pattern in place that suggests we do not need to extend any higher to consider discount full, that this would not be expected with high likelihood to extend higher. So we need to be cautious of such an idea of looking for such an extension within this time frame, which is why we have been looking within a smaller time frame to potentially identify a bottom within the area of support for a potential such 1-2 setup at the levels between the $147.6 all the way down to the $88.5. And at the same time, the break below the $88.5 would be our strong indication that we would be looking to reach the blue area of support. Yeah, that would suggest that this gap between those two areas of support would be filled, that most likely we would reach at least the $52.6 level before managing to create the next reversal to the upside. But this is below the $88.5 where the probabilities start to shift within this idea. Now, internally within this wave 2, or supposed wave 2, even within the larger blue wave 2, we could be looking for this pattern. We have been tracking this yellow interpretation, once again, because it works within both structures. Both the white and the blue structures can fit this yellow pattern. We have been tracking the idea of a larger ABC structure to be unfolding, specifically with high probabilities, because we had an initial 5-wave move to the downside, which suggested that after a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance up to the $212, we would be looking for, at the very least, another 5-wave move to the downside. And it seems we have pushed perfectly into this 78.6% retracement before starting this large move to the downside that is expected to complete a 5-wave pattern. Now, I want to provide you a bit of time to leave a like on the video if you enjoy this content and if you enjoy this update. On top of that, if you want to support us directly and you enjoy our content in general, please check out the channel membership as well. You even get a couple of cool perks such as additional content and reply priority. Now, getting back to the chart, here within this wave C, as I was mentioning, we are looking for a 5-wave pattern. That is what is expected to build within a wave C, and we have been tracking this idea of even a potential impulse within the previous video of a double 1-2-1-2 setup, something like that, a wave 3, a wave 4, and a wave 5 that would basically complete the structure. We didn't label everything, it would have just crowded the chart, but we needed to hold here within the smaller time frame below the $134 to be able to still build an impulse within this structure to the downside. We didn't manage to do that, we pushed beyond, and we are now in the need to track an ending diagonal within this larger wave C to the downside, which implies that instead of having here a series of 1-2 setups, even here, we would have a larger 1-2, where the wave 1 was an ABC structure, and we would be looking for an ABC structure to also unfold within this wave 3. And at this point, I would even go as far as to consider that this wave 3 doesn't need to extend any lower, especially based on the proportion of the retracement so far, to consider a bottom to be in place within it. But for a signal that we will not see any extensions lower, which right now is still preferred, I would need to see the area of resistance for a potential wave 4 broken. So I want to make it clear that within this wave 3 we could theoretically extend to lower prices. I would even prefer that within certain scenarios, but I would honestly focus on the idea of an ABC pattern being in place within this wave 3 and not needing to actually see a reset, to actually see an extension of this wave 3 to find it likely that it has a bottom in place. And my main focus currently sits here up to the 61.8% retracement for this idea of continuation to lower prices within this wave C in yellow. Now, within this structure, in this wave 4, we are looking to build an ABC pattern. That is the typical pattern we would expect within a diagonal structure within a wave 4. And it does happen at times that we do not get the complete 5-wave structure within the wave C, thus allowing us to consider sometimes even distortions as a WXY pattern in a wave 4, but this is our primary expectation. So within this structure, I am looking for this to have been an ABC pattern within a wave A, quite nicely actually, and I would be looking here to build a wave C to the upside within this wave 4, which would once again be expected to be a 5-wave pattern itself. And within this 5-wave pattern, I'm looking for this to likely form within the idea of an ending diagonal, as it lacks a clear impulse. And from what I can see internal here, all I can really trust is for this to be a single wave 1, to have here a wave 2, and a wave 3 that would be actually expected to extend a little bit higher. But once we form a top within that, a wave 4 and a wave 5 that would complete this as a larger wave C to the upside. Now, since this is an ending diagonal, once again, I'm looking for an ABC pattern to unfold in this wave 3. And probably my preferred interpretation currently would imply an internal A wave up, a B wave down, and a C wave to the upside within this area, in which case I would consider that we would have something along the lines of a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, where in the wave 3 I would prefer another high, and for context I'm tracking this. Yeah, And within this wave 3, I'm looking for one more high, as I am looking at this to also be unfolding as an ending diagonal within an internal wave C. All throughout this movement to the upside, we see a corrective structure. This is not something very bullish, it's not something impulsive, so we need to be cautious because a top might form sooner than we may realize, and it's not even a guarantee that I am tracking the exact correct count here, especially within such a small time frame, as distortions are quite common within these time frames. So, in this wave 3 to the upside, I'm looking for, once again, an ABC pattern. And this is where I would have an area of support I could provide for this idea of tracking continuation higher. And I would be watching here the levels down to the 50% retracement, where a break below the $117 would really force me to consider that this structure is likely with a top in place. Sure, we might be able to track this as an ending diagonal, allowing a bit lower of a retracement, but then let's say below the $116, we would be looking at an extremely high risk of failing to extend and complete our pattern. Ultimately, within such a small time frame, I wouldn't hold it against the chart, against the larger pattern, if we fail to complete it. So, for context, I'm tracking within this internal wave C, which I won't label, we will just clutter up the chart too much at this point. A 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. It is possible that this wave 3 would still be extending, which is why I will highlight that touching the area of support might have already been achieved. Yeah, sure, we didn't get a perfect touch here, but don't focus too much on the exact structure within these timeframes. We might even get an extension internally here, where, yeah, many options are possible, and I would urge you, ultimately, to zoom out, to look from a larger time frame perspective, and to consider your positioning here. Are you interested in looking for a position in this white structure? Because it is decently apparent that below the $88.5 we would be looking to go to the $52 level. Now, it is not a guarantee that it will happen in a straight line. We might even push into the previous swing low, form a pretty nice relief rally in which you might regain any losses, but at the same time, we could witness something even more bearish that we aren't necessarily focusing on the chart because it is not being strongly suggested to us. Now, none of this is financial advice anyway. I'm not telling you how to position yourself, I'm not telling you where to place your stop loss or what to do in any way, but it is quite apparent to me that one of these patterns is going to succeed. I do not need any extensions beyond what we would have here within this ABC pattern. And to draw the bottom line and have a summary, in the blue structure we have a high probability accumulation area, but it only starts at the $52.6. Until we touch that, we would still expect to extend to lower prices in this scenario. Within the white interpretation, we would be looking for a wave 3 to potentially form in a wave 5, a larger wave 5, or a larger wave 3, doesn't matter exactly, against the $88.5. Below that, it would be rather suggested, yeah, a sustained break below that would be required, but it would be rather suggested that the blue structure is unfolding and we are reaching into at least the $52.6. Now, in terms of the internal structure, we are looking at this yellow pattern to build an ABC movement to the downside. I wouldn't really consider this to be a wave 3 unfolding, so I wouldn't find a wave 4 and a wave 5 to occur with high probabilities. I would rather look for a larger ABC pattern afterwards for a more bearish interpretation. And we are looking to build still one more low within this structure in a wave 5 in an ABC pattern before having a full count. And along the way, we might find interesting this 78.6% retracement and maybe a bit above it, as we have some structural support at this area, at these levels between the $94-$95 down to the $90 level. And if you're interested in getting more such high quality structures with high probability accumulation areas from us, I highly recommend you check out our channel newsletter. The link for sign up is in the description and it is completely free. We identify for you those structures and we even make a short summary of what we see on these patterns. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.